Welcome back to Half Bloom. I'm your host Nadia, and welcome to the new cafe. I finally made it to the Kotatsu space here. I'm super excited to be able to film more casually with you guys here and try to delve deeper into the experimentation that I had said before that I wanted to delve into. It's actually a rainy day today, so I actually filmed this episode yesterday, but the mic decided to just shut down on me, and so for like 20 to 25 minutes, you can see my mouth moving, but like no audio is going through, and I wasn't able to catch any of it. So I am refilming today with a newer and fresher mind, and I think that the rain has made me a little bit more reflective. So I think it's going to be a better episode than the thing that I filmed yesterday. Anyway, so it's actually been a full 2 weeks now since we've opened. Honestly, it hasn't been like hectic in terms of like customers, but I'm finally sitting down to, start this podcast again. I wanted to do an episode a week. I know I've been really bad at it, but let's see if I can keep this going. Working alone, I think, has made me focus more on trying to figure out where I need to add things or subtract things or work on and things like that. One of the biggest things that I've realized while speaking with my partner is that I've been trying to focus too much on tactics rather than using leverages and long-term strategies. And so my goal now is to not focus on the little mini gritty, like I'm going to try my best to get this to sell, this one product to sell, but rather what is the long-term goal that I can set up so that this product will sell without me having to push it every single time. Another thing, we've actually been seeing a lot of people discover our space, whether they were old customers or our original customers at Nadia Coffee House, or just people just walking by the street, seeing the reactions and seeing what they enjoy and what we want to fix going forward or like improve moving forth makes it kind of feel like developing friendships. And I hope that some of these friendships will last, and I hope that they don't come out of just simple despite or jealousy or any negative feelings. And I want to be able to cherish those kinds of friendships moving forward. And of course, they do build time to trust as well. So before I get to talk about this fun little jar thing, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see. Before I talk about that, let's talk about this special coffee that I have. This is a Columbia Sidra bourbon coffee that I have that was specially roasted for the opening event. We did do this for our 1-year anniversary at Nadia Coffee House as well, but we always tend to bring back these kind of specialty, like higher end coffees for these events as like a go-to thing that we do. And we also have a Panama Geisha Esmeralda as well, but the Sidra has been doing really well in terms of like, for people who want that tangy spice, like real punch in the face kind of coffee. This gives me mango and orange as well in terms of that like punch, but it's also very grounded and sweet as well, which is why I think I've been navigating or gearing towards this coffee as well, and why it's also been doing so well here for people who are like coffee fanatics who want that like kick. And being able to manage these kinds of higher end quality coffees, I think, shows how strong of a brand we are, and I wish that more people would be able to taste the beans and taste this coffee moving forward. And so that's why at Coffee Mate we're planning to focus more on, I guess, the specialty coffee pour over scene, because I don't think a lot of cafes around this area actually push forward hand drip coffee that much. And so I hope to be able to get the ground rolling with this sector of the industry, of this population, of this little mini tiny little area neighborhood here as well. I definitely would say that this coffee is not necessarily like a soft morning or like a sunset glow. It's very in your face, as if you are gonna drink this and go play badminton across the street. There's a badminton court, like indoor badminton court across the street, and that's kind of what it tastes like. So it kind of brings up the motivation and energy that I need when, it's rainy and gloomy on days like today as well. So maybe that's why I keep navigating towards it, because I need so much, like, what's the word? 자극? What's 자극 in English? I can't think of the word. Well, let me look it up. 자극. Stimulation. Wow, I can't think of the word. Stimulation. Anyway, yes. So that's why I need stimulation. So the theme of this episode that I wanted to create was the word magic. And being able to set up a new place, being able to create something, I think is magical in itself. It's producing some kind of magic as well, whether it's actual science behind it, of course, like there's actual work behind it. But one question that I get a lot is what time of day feels the most magical to you in a cafe setting, especially? And yes, there are pros and cons for all different times of day. There's that glow that comes through the sunlight, and it's very quiet in the morning, like early morning at like 7:30, 8 a.m. when the sun is just rising. I think honestly that's my favorite time because I feel like I can breathe. I have a little bit more flexibility to do things in the day. I still haven't, completed anything yet, and I have all this hopefulness in me, and that beam of light that comes through the windows allows me to appreciate the nature, the weather, the life that I have, the day that I have. And then, of course, in the afternoon, it's fun. It's the energy that gets you going. And then golden hour, towards evening, is very cinematic. It kind of feels like everything's at a stop, slower and slower. And while I wish that the closing would be my favorite part, it's actually not. The closing makes me feel like the entire cafe is just holding its breath until the next day. So it doesn't feel like it's taking a breath of a sigh of relief, and it's holding its breath, waiting for the following day to come. And I quickly want to be able to clean the space up and go home and come back to this place the following day to give it strength and give it a recharge once again. So despite the fact that it's quiet, everything gets to rest, I actually don't think that it's, a pleasant feeling, honestly. I like the hustle and bustle of the mornings and the afternoons. So I want to now put away the coffee a little bit aside for this. I want to talk about this mini jar, and what this is the magical story jar. So I have a little space on a little mini table, a wooden table next to the bed, next to me right here. And I've got post-it notes and colored pencils and pens and whatnot. And people are able to put in this jar. It's like a tip jar, and it says, "Tell me your story." And I wrote on a little card what this is. I'll read it to you in Korean first, and then I'll translate it in English. It says, Half Bloom이라는 팟캐스트에서 사연을 읽어드립니다. 매주 좋은 소식, 안 좋은 일, 고민거리 다 써주시면 라디오 방송에서 이야기하겠습니다. Again, in English, it says, I will read you your stories on a podcast called Half Bloom every week. Good news, bad news, any advice, problems you have or you want, write it all down, and I will read it out during the radio broadcast, which is just this podcast. But I've wanted to be a radio DJ since I was younger, so I wanted to just call it a radio. So I actually have two stories in here. One is from me. It's kind of like adding your own tip to the tip jar. And I will read them out. And I wish I could say I didn't read them, but I did read them yesterday when I was recording, so I have read them already. So it's not a full surprise, but then again, I'm excited to be able to read them out again for you guys and reflect once more on what they've said. So the first one, they wrote quite a bit. It's pretty long. The first one, again, I will read it in Korean and then I'll translate it, so bear with me. So it says, 대학교 2학년 21살, 원하는 회사에서 체험형 인턴을 모집해서 지원해 보려고 합니다. 포트폴리오 하고 싶다는 생각만 했지 노력한 건 없구나 라는 생각이 들었습니다. 노력 없이 결과를 바라는 제가 한심했어요. 정말 잘할 수 있겠죠? 노력 많이 할게요. 다들 잘 이겨낼 수 있는 힘 주세요. 인턴 꼭 붙어서 올게요. And again in English, she wrote, second year in university, 21 years old. I am planning to apply to a internship at a company that I've wanted to apply to. But while creating the portfolio, I thought, I've always kind of thought of wanting to do this, but I actually haven't put enough effort or any effort at all. I was kind of ashamed at myself for wanting results without having put enough effort. But I can do well, right? I will put in so much effort, and please give me the strength to do well. Intern, I'm coming for you. and she has this like little sound effect at the end. But I actually know this girl, and we talked about how desperately she wanted to do this, and she was telling me she was competing with a lot of other older people who have more experience and have developed their portfolio in greater lengths than she has, and she's just starting, and so she doesn't have anything to really showcase, and so she was really worried about that. But the part that really resonated with me that we didn't talk about before was that she felt ashamed for not having put in a lot of effort. And I think that kind of is something that I really relate to, is that we want, or like anyone I think can relate to in any moment, is that we kind of want something to just kind of fall on our laps, and we have to put in the effort to do it. Sometimes little effort can produces bigger results, but sometimes the results that we want won't happen without putting in like an incredulous amount of work. And I'm not saying that this should be an excuse at all. Like, you should be able to kind of develop the mindset and strength to be able to push forward and do the work that you need to. But I really do know that she's going to do well, just because she has been wanting this desperately, and she said that if she doesn't get this time around, she's going to work really hard so that she can apply again next year. So, 화이팅. The second is little brainstorming ideas of what they want to have as events here at Coffee Mate. And one thing that they wrote is 심야 영화, which is basically late night or midnight movie time. And so we actually have a very big beam projector like screen here, and so being able to show like movies is a really great idea. But I've never done like movie talks or anything, or just like showings. Like, people have to come to watch the showings, and so if you are a movie fanatic, then please let me know. I am very much open to start playing movies, especially on the weekends, for our customers. The next idea is beer pong 대신 coffee pong, which is coffee pong instead of beer pong. Maybe she's played some beer pong before. But I do think that would get a little messy, and you'd have to get like really extroverted, like pumped up people to do this. But maybe it would be a good idea to do like a bingo card kind of thing. That I guess wouldn't be that fun. But in terms of like getting reviews on Naver, I think that would be a fun little easy thing to create on a poster board. The last is a live show, and the previous owner here actually did live performances, and I think that's a really great idea just because the space is pretty large. They had musicians and artists come and perform on an evening, and I actually don't know of any musicians or artists, but if you are one and you want to hit me up, let me know. So I got those two from the past 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to the little cute stories. They don't really have to be very heavy. I'm looking forward to just like, hey, I really like that song you played today, or hey, I got a new plant and it's really cute. Like, I'm looking forward to like very simple stories as well. And so we actually have a little introvert sector in the cafe as well, and people are able to face the wall quietly and write down some thoughts, and we have some prompts that we prepared for them. And on these, which I will talk about actually in detail next week, one of them is 소중한 당신의 이름은? So what is the precious you's name? Next is 당신의 이야기를 들려주세요. This is just kind of like part 2 of the jar. And then this one is 오늘의 나에게, which is to me today. And then the last one is a really cute one. It's what is love? So Yunsori, or one of our workers, she actually wrote these ideas, and so I'm really looking forward to the what is love part as well, because everyone has different ideas of what it is and different experiences with it, and what we think of love and what is love may all be different. So this will be storytelling for next week, so look forward to that. One more sip of coffee before we talk about languages. So I did a little mini reading translation moment, and a lot of people ask me, what languages do you think in? And I think that speaking different languages is a good and bad thing. Good because you're able to speak to so many different people. It's a great opportunity. But there's one con that I realized recently is that, or maybe I guess it's like a blend of two, is that we're so capable of adapting to another country, to another culture, to another person, that we start to kind of get confused on who we are. Maybe that becomes like our identity itself. But I think for me too, it kind of blurred the like strength or like the intensity level of who I could have been if I just spoke a single language. Of course, it could also just be like a personality thing, but because you're so adaptive, you kind of create yourself and recreate yourself too easily sometimes, and aren't able to like hold a strong ground. And something that I tell people all the time is that people who speak more than one language do not have brains. Like, it's not one single brain. It's like you have a Korean brain and an English brain. And while I was working, I also was very frustrated at my Korean brain because it felt like an elementary school middle schooler, whereas my English brain, I know, because I went through like my entire life in the States, like it was professional, it was knowledgeable, it could emphasize and express in all these different ways. And sometimes when I talk to people here as well, and sometimes I do get frustrated because I'm not able to express myself fully in one or the other language, because they exist in different brains. But one other thing that I do enjoy of languages is that each version or each language speaking version of me brings out a different version of me. In English, I'm more energetic, I'm more expressive, I have more extroverted qualities. I am able to, talk to strangers better. In Korean, I feel way more shy. Like, yes, it's gotten better over the years, but I feel like a kid and I want attention. I want people to notice me. And in Japanese, I feel like I'm just a very chatty, talky person. Chatty, talky. But I also do feel very soft. Korean makes me feel a little bit, what's the word? Kind of childlike. But Japanese, I think, makes me more womanly and soft. And in French, well, I kind of dream in French sometimes. It kind of gives me this like, hey, like, don't forget me. I exist as well. Hey, Nadia, like, you don't always have to be so extravagant all the time. You are still you. And I think French is actually the language that grounds me and makes me realize how human I am compared to the other three. And I think it has to do with the fluency level and the experience that I had to take in order to become better at French, which was a lot more work and effort than I put into the other languages. With Japanese, I think I did actually put in more effort than I did in French, but it came to me much more easily because I started speaking it at a much younger age, whereas in French, it was much more difficult to learn the same things that I had learned in the other languages. And my fifth language is, I guess, coffee. And I kind of have always seen coffee as a language in itself. It has many languages within it, and I'm still trying to learn it and become familiar with it. And I think that anyone in coffee can also relate that it's endless. You are figuring things out still over and over and over again. So I'm gonna end here before this cup gets cold. Thank you for being here with me today as well, in this moment, in this space, in this language even. And maybe you can answer some of the questions that I brought up today. What time of day feels the most magical to you? What language do you feel yourself the most in? And if you could also leave one story in the magic jar, what would it be? I'll talk to you guys soon.